Hi everyone, it's Lou Sims here, and I'm here today to share some project ideas using the beautiful Tonic Studios French Armoire die set. Now what I wanted to do was show different ways that we can use the die set to create beautiful 3D projects, but that they can open in different ways and they're not just about the doors at the front. So I've cut lots of my bits and pieces out ready, but I'll explain what I've done as I go along. Now, in the die set, we get the main outside die, as you can see here, and we need 2 of those. So I'll just put that to one side. We also get this die here, which forms the top and the bottom, and we need 2 of those. And that is your basic construction for the armoire. Now, in the die set, we also get the die that creates the doors at the front. Now, you don't have to have it with the doors on. You could leave the top off and slide your gift or whatever you wanted to put inside that way. But it is a beautiful French, wardrobe armoire design that it seems silly not to use or die cut those dies in. We get lots of decorative panels as well, which we can decorate up. But I'm just going to look at the basic construction about how I want to put it together, and then we'll decorate as well. So let's move these bits and pieces out of the way. Oh, I don't want to lose those bits because they're going to be crucial. Now, so I've cut mine out. Now, on the die set for the main base, you get the side panel here, which you do need to crease. And I've done that on both of them. The doors I will crease later because it's easier for me to stick down if they're not flapping around. And what I want to do is I want to stick one on top of the other. And that is our basic armoire shape. Now I'm going to use a mixture of red liner tape and glue. That's just my personal preference. And then I've got the benefit, of both sticking together. I have the glue, which will allow me a little bit of time to put things in play, and then the tape can grab straight away because obviously our glue does take a little bit longer, to set. So let's grab my pokey tool. Okay, as you can see, I've stuck them together. Now, a top tip is when you do stick them down is try not to put the second piece too near to the crease line here. Otherwise, it gets too bulky and it won't fold very neatly. So I'm just going to burnish that in place. Now we've got it all done, all beautifully joined together, and this is the inside here. And what would normally happen is we would put glue or tape here, join that together, and that is the basic construction of our armoire. But what I wanted to do this time around was think of a different way of opening it, because obviously we can look through the doors and we can put things in through the doors, but I also thought if we had something slightly larger that we want to put in, how could we do that? How can we create that opening? Now let's just put that there. In the kit, in the die set collection, you get these 2 little pieces here, and this is the hook that latches, or the latch, and this is the part that it latches into. And yes, I know they are slightly smaller and maybe a little bit fiddlier. Now on this part here, I'm lifting up to the camera as best I can, you've got some little fold lines, so you've got 1 to that side and 1 to that side, either side of the hole. And these do actually need to be folded because they create your latch. So you've got 1, 2, 1, 2. So when they then get glued together, one on top of the other, it creates an area. So I'm trying to pick this up. Creates a pocket, an area that your latch can then actually sit into and work cleanly. We will also, before we glue those down, we would need to put a brad in place, just so it's got to, something to hold it in place. Now, if you didn't want to put a brad, you could just stick it. One of the benefits of a brad is that this piece will then move, so you can place it on your project wherever you want to do it. Now, the doors, we would have a little we'd put that there, and we can open and close them with the latch as well. But what I wanted to do as well was have a way of, instead of gluing this part together, that we could use this mechanism still and the latch to go over and actually hook close the back of our project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these out a couple of times, because they're going to have to be quite sturdy now, because they're holding the whole of the back of our project. So I'm going to cut them a couple of times, so at least this latch is can withstand all that movement. And I'm going to cut them out probably in some of the speciality card that Tonic does. So I'll be back shortly. Right, as you can see, I've die cut lots of pieces, and I've cut them from a speciality silver Craft Perfect card. Now I want to use brads that are a little bit thicker and chunkier for my project, not for any other reason other than I think they'll look better for this type of project. You can use the smaller type brads which fit inside the hole if you don't want your brad to stand out too greatly. I want mine to be a little bit of a feature, so when I put it through it and you look through, you can actually see it a little bit more, and when we've got it all folded together. Also, doing a bigger brad, that when I fold all those bits, I can actually make this a little bit smaller for the latch to go through, so it looks a little bit snugger, if that makes sense. So what I want to also do is I've cut these parts 4 times, because I actually want to stick these together to make this a little bit, to make it more robust. But also when you're looking at it, you get to see the silver from both sides, whether you're looking down or you're looking from the outside. So I'm going to go away and stick all those down, and once they're dry I'll be back again. Right, they're stuck down and I've made them double-sided. Now, I did do these, and my goal was to actually make these double-sided, and I cut them out. But I actually made a little bit of an error here, because what I should have done is cut them the opposite way round. I'm going to use them as is and just stack them up, but if I show you what I mean. So when I cut mine out, I've obviously put them straight onto the card, but to get the reverse silver I should have turned this over and then cut them out, and what would have happened is I would have got the opposite shape, which meant that I could layer them on top of each other. But I'm just going to go with it as is, and just try and catalogue that in my brain again, that the next time I'll do it this way round. Right, so let's put them away. But before I start working out where I want to put all the different holes and everything, I'm going to actually start and decorate the inside of my box. So you get plain outside edges and you get decorative elements as well. I'm just going to use the plain edges just for the inside of the box. I've chosen to use decorative paper because I want the box to look pretty on the inside rather than coloured card, and it goes with the feel of what I want to do. So I've cut this out, and this is going to sit here. It's up to you whether you cut the doors away or you leave them in place. That again is, is a total personal preference. If you're going to stick it down so this is all goes on top of the doors, you're going to need to let it dry really well so you can then start bending everything. Put that away. Now I'm left with these, and I will actually die cut these out again so they form the decoration, the smaller panel decoration on the inside, as you can see there and there. And that's what I wanted to do, so I can then see a lovely white border. So I will cut them out in a moment. Why waste paper? So this now is going to sit and perfectly there, and then I can have 2 decorative panels on the inside. Now, I'm not going to put the decoration on the inside of the doors just yet, because I do actually want to put the clasp mechanism on the outside of the doors of my armoire. And what I want to do is, once they're on there, is I can then use the backing designs to cover up where my actual brads were. So I will cut these down, and so this is the piece here. So you get the hole there, which is where you would put your brads and your mechanism. What I want to do is I want to cut round this, but not have this whole part there. So then I've got a decorative panel that goes on the top and hides all my brad legs. I hope that makes sense. Right, so let's put that there. So I don't want to do that at the moment because I need to get the brads in place working from the front. Now I have got this panel here, but before I stick it down, I want to work out where I'm going to put the holes for my closing mechanism at the back, if that makes sense. So I want to work out where that's going to be. I can then put the holes in place and then put my decorative panel down. So I think, now what we could do is, if I take this panel here, I know it's decoration, it's white on white, sorry, I could work out where the openings are here, and if I wanted to, I could try and mirror so they're all opening roughly at the same height. So if we hold it there, so let's make life easier and grab a couple of clips and we can then work out. So I'm going to put that bit there, and I'm just going to hold those legs in place, and a clip there. So as you can see, that would be the normal armoire, and we put the base in. But I want to work out, so if this would be the decorative panel on the front, and my brads or my closures is going to go there. Well, if I work flat, that would probably be easier. I can then roughly work out where everything's going to go. Right, so I just quickly grabbed a pencil. So if I look at it there, I know on the front that my brad would go there. If I can rub this out, if I'm just going to use a die cut, you can use a ruler, take that there, that means that any brads or anything I need to be along that line there. Now, as I said, I can rub those out, but that gives me an idea now. So that means that they will be in the same placement, visually wise, as the brads that when they go at the front here. I hope that makes sense, but as I'm demoing it, it probably make a little bit more sense. So let's just move that out of the way because we don't need that at the moment. So I'm going to grab my mechanisms in, and what I want to do is I want to have it, so I'll put this flat at the moment, this sits very close to the edge and it will move around, so I'm going to need to put a slight crease in it, and then I've got this part ready to grab it all. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to work out where I'd like my hole to be, and then I can start decorating the inside and the outside. I'm probably going to need to put a crease in this because it's going to go round a corner, but I won't put the crease in until I've got everything else in place. Otherwise I could put a crease in the wrong place and it's going to be really tricky then to change the direction. Right, so what I've done is I've cut myself a decorative piece of paper, but I've used one of the decorative panels because I quite like the idea of just like a hint of colour, but keeping the actual armoire looking like it's been chalk painted. But we've got a lovely decorative feature there. So let's stick those two together. I'm not going to play with that too much because I want the glue to set on the panel. I don't want to disturb it. I want to put the legs there. Right, so I'm just going to let that settle and then I'll be back. Right, the glue's had time to settle and I've had a change of plan. Now, when I was moving these around and I used the bigger brad and it worked, the mechanism worked, but because the legs were slightly thicker, when I put my backing panel on, I could see them and that just didn't work for me. I just thought, oh no, that just looks ugly. So back to plan B, and I've gone for some smaller brads, but I've tried to go for ones with slightly bigger heads. And before I push the legs down, I just want to check that this moves. As you can see, it does. So the difficulty I had before was when I had the legs in place, because they were thicker, they were just peeking through where the backing paper was. So I want to check that that will move, and it will. So now I can put them in place. I can grab my backing paper. I've got that going, so it's going to sit and go over this part here. So as I said, I'm going to need to do a crease in it. Now I've put the backing papers down here, which was a bit of a boo-boo, but I've left a little bit of gluing space, luckily, so I can actually then put the mechanism there. So really what I should have done is not put either of those backing panels on until I'd put the brads in place. But this is one of the benefits. I think it's great that you get to see our crafty process and also some of the mistakes we make. So we don't bring you the perfect video. You can see that where we've learnt, and that's how we all learn. So I need to work out where I want to put this. So I'm going to put this like that, and then I'm just going to do a crease there because I need that to bend over, and then that can go there. Let's put my clips in place so we can work out where the placement is going to be. So I want that to be able to go up and down and go into the mechanism at the back there, as you can see. So we need to grab this. Where's my pencil? And it needs to go quite near again by the looks of it. So I'm going to put this flat. See, I can put this flat because I haven't put the bases in yet. So it's the best way to do it. So sorry, clasp, you need to move out of the way. Thank you. So that's my dry run in place. I'm quite happy with that. So let's get the backing paper on for this back panel here, which is going to sit there like that. And then I've got a decorative panel. Now, I've got those brads showing there, but what I might do is I've got this extra piece over, so I could actually stick that on top and make it look part of the latch mechanism. I'll have a think about that, but I will disguise that. So now, I just need to turn that round because obviously my latch has got to go into the box it makes going that way. So let's put a little bit of glue in place. Right, so that it's still setting because it's mirror card on top of mirror card and doubled. It's going to take a little bit longer, so I'm just going to leave the tweezers on and we'll go to the inside here. Now the doors here, we need to get the latches in place for those, and then we can talk about, you know, getting all the bases on and how we're going to do that. So let's turn this over. Right, all my decorations done. I've just got to do this panel here, which I'll do shortly, but let's get these parts in. Right, so I will glue that together, but I'll do that in a moment. I'm going to turn this over. I want to put these panels now in place so they sit there and give me that white border like I've got everywhere else. So I should put some glue on these. Now to create these panels, all I did was I took one of these and then around my paper I literally drew round it without the hole and then cut it out. Letting this still dry just a little bit longer, just in case. If not, I can put another dollop of glue. As I said, it's just double layer of mirror card or specialty card on top of each other. What I could have done is just lightly sanded both sides and then it would have glued a little bit quicker. Anyhow, in the meanwhile, these are the top and the bottom, but what I've done is I've covered them in the decorative papers. So this one is going to be on the inside and this is the one that's going to be at the top of the armoire. So I'm not going to do that one at the moment. Now I've put red liner tape on, but I will put glue on as well because I like, my personal preference is I like the combination of the two. They're a lot more rigid and you get a lot more longevity for your project. So I'm just going to turn this over for the moment. Oh, and the tweezers, we'll move those in a minute. So this is on the inside here. So what I want to do is I want to stick my panel down, and I've only put the glue on all three sides, or the glue and tape. That is going to go into place there, and then I want to put it so the bottom there matches, she says very, very carefully, here. So what the goal is, to make this a little bit more rigid, I will end up sticking this to one part of the door. I hope that makes sense. So, and then this part will obviously come over. Now this part won't stick because this is the door that's going to open and close for us, but I wanted this panel to stick down so it didn't get damaged. So we'll get those off and we'll get that in place. I think I'll chance it with my tweezers. If it's not stuck enough, I will, obviously I can do that a bit later. So let's just take these panels off. So I'm going to start with the first two panels and then I will do the side panel here. Now to create the panel for the bottom here, all I did was I took the base die, and I've just drawn around the inside of it and cut it out on my decorative paper. And that's given me the perfect matte layer for that bottom panel, because it seems a shame it's not decorated as well. So let's put some glue on. Let's fold those, because we've got the 4 parts there. We need them to fold in. And I want to line this up to the bottom there. I'll lift it up and show you how I've lined it up in a moment. I just want to get it into place. And then I just want to make sure it's right angled. And get that in. Right, okay, let's move those and I can show you. So what I've done is I want to stick it so it's just above. Can you see the notch on that layer there? So it won't be seen from the front, and I wanted to replicate it on this side here, keeping a right angle at all times. I just want to push that in place. Now I'm not going to stick this bit down until I've got all my sticking in place. So then I'm going to remove this side. Actually, I might change my mind, so I'll take that off anyhow. What I'm going to do is stick this one first. So I've put this on top. I'm not worried about the legs being underneath showing, because you won't see them hopefully by the time you put something inside. So let's do the 2 sides again. Again, I've only put the tape on the 3 sides, and I've created my matte layer as I did with the base one. Just draw around the die onto my decorative paper. So let's put the creases in. So for this one, whoops, escapee, I'm going to lift it up because I want to get to as near as the top as I can without it peeking through. So I just want to get from there to there. So that bit's there. And hold that in there, and then I can do the same along that bit. So can you see I'm just taking the lowest points here and I'm lining up the top and the bottom there so I can get the maximum amount of space inside my box. So I'll fold that down. So as I said before, those 2 will stick on there to create a little bit more rigidity. So let's take off this. She says. Oh. And just put some glue and on the bottom there. So I'm going to offer, sorry if I'm moving around, but I need to offer this up. So that bit's going to stick there and hold in place. And then I need to offer this so it's just above that notch in the bottom panel. That's what I was using as a reference before. So I'm just going to hold those in place at the moment. Let's turn that round. I'm just going to put my finger inside and just stick this one down and push this one down. Now I've got this part here, and I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of glue top and bottom, and then I'm just going to secure those in place. I'm going to hold that, and then I'm going to hold that one. So I'm going to hold these for a couple of minutes, and once they're dry I'll be back. Right, so I've got the feet in place, and that is from this die cut here, and it's got a crease down the centre. So we just crease that and put your glue, and that would go round. But what I've done here is I've put one on this edge, but where I've only got one leg or one little part there, I've doubled it over to give a little bit more rigidity. I still need to cover this, and I'm tempted to cut another one. I was tempted to cut another one in silver, but in the end I've actually gone for one in the cream because I think it's less likely to stand out that I you know, made a bit of a mistake there. So I'm just going to hold that a little bit into place. And I thought it also looks like a, you know, a slight decorative feature on the paper, you know, like I've cut round when I haven't. So that's going to go there. These have dried so that they're holding in place. And then I've got my back part there. So when I push that together, I've got the leg, so it's got a little bit more, this part here, that's a single piece of card. It's got a little bit more rigidity. So I'll join that together in a minute. Now I cut some extra ones over. Do you know, and I'm very tempted. I think they would make, you know, the coolest little hinges. But then I don't know if that's just a little too much overkill on the doors. I think it might be. So let's just cut one in half. You know when an idea pops into your head and you think, oh, I've got to give it a go. So I thought if I cut the feet in half, I could add them like that to the bottom of the doors to look like hinges. But I don't know if that's just a little bit too much. That's going to be, I'm at the faffing stage, and anyone who watches my videos, when I say I'm at the faffing stage, it means I'm going off to have fun and play. But I also didn't know whether it would look nice around there. So I am, see, I'm faffing. So let's move that out of the way. So we've got, the idea of this was to show you, to make the armoire. I will secure these up. I've got an idea for this. It's where the glue is still a little bit too wet. And rather than just rely on the doors to be, you know, what you could put in your box, I thought it would be a nice idea to actually have it so the back could open, so we could put something larger in there, or even something wrapped, and we didn't have to worry about trying to fit in to the smaller aperture. Line it up, and then I can just put my hook through, which holds it in place, and I've got my other hook which is holding that one in place there, so they all match. What I'm going to do now is I am going to go and faff. I'm going to see about the extra hinges, I don't know, but I want to die cut myself some flowers, and I want to do something on the inside here just to decorate the armoire up just a little bit more. But I hope that gave you another idea of using the armoire in a slightly different way, because they are beautiful 3D boxes. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, I'd love if you subscribe to my channel, hit the notifications button and the likes button, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.